It being on or about 6:30, I call the November 20th,
Recording in progress.
Try that again. I should have given you a heads up, Jen. It being on or about 6:30, I call the November 20th, 2023 meeting of the Easton Conservation Commission to order. This meeting is being conducted remotely. Remote attendance shall count towards a quorum from board members. It is also being recorded and broadcast live via ECAT. Let's begin with a roll call vote.
Benson present.
Carol present.
Crossman present. Beatty present.
Just for people who are here for meetings tonight, 36 Norfolk Ave and 102 Easton have requested continuances. We'll of course have to vote on those continuances, but I just let the attendees know that as a courtesy before we get started. So let's call our first meeting. Excuse me. Let's call our first order of business. 56 Cosmo Road, Daniel and Erica Murphy, RIM Engineering representatives, notice of intent for construction of a pool house. Just let the record reflect that Commissioner Caulfield has joined the meeting.
Greg Saganowski, RIM Engineering, representing Daniel and Erica Murphy. You recall back in April of this year, we applied for a certificate of compliance for the existing pool they built. That was all cleared up and approved. And now they're coming back before you to add a cabana / storage building on the property. The resource area is of course the same. The intermittent stream that acts as drainage, carries the drainage for several roads to this area, as well as the bordering vegetated wetlands. And there's the existing paved area. I could share screen.
Please.
Can you all see that?
We can see it. Would you mind just zooming in on the,
Yeah.
I guess the site plan itself?
So this area here is the existing paved driveway that's existed since the time they built the house back in, I think it was 1980 something, 1988. So there's an existing shed. They use it for storage. There's a basketball court. They also park cars on there. What they're looking to do is connect this, add this as a pool house on top of the existing pavement, which will have a footing foundation, but just a slab, no basement. And then they're gonna connect from the building with a deck here that'll cross over the existing infiltration trench that we had put in for the pool. So there won't be any footings inside that trench. It'll connect to the building and then connect to the patio. If any footings have to go in for the deck, it'll be in this area. So we have this half of the building will be the cabana, this half will be storage, so the grading will be at existing pavement level, so they can go right in with lawn equipment and such. It's 1,000 square feet of building, and we are connecting it's an A-frame style building. We are calling for the gutters to be connected through PVC piping to a Caltech chamber over here, which is outside the 100-foot buffer, as well as the inner riparian zone in the existing lawn area, where they graded out this area for the pool area. So pretty much the pool house would be 84 feet from the closest point of the bank and 79 feet from the DVW, 72 feet from the actual property line. They already had the existing conservation signs that were approved. There is an existing fence here that'll have to be somewhat changed to accommodate the building, but after it's done, there will be no grading required. It's just going to meet the existing grade on the pavement. So we're doing, it's completely located on the pavement, so we're exchanging existing impervious pavement for proposed impervious building, and again tying in the roof to the Caltech chambers. So if you have any questions for myself or I believe Daniel Erica should be on the meeting watching if I can answer any questions for you.
Okay. Jen, any staff comments?
Craig, do you have the operation and maintenance plan for the Caltech chamber or the manufacturer's instructions?
Well, yeah, I've talked to other people about that, and that's really for a different type of system that Caltech has. You know, if you open up put in 2 inspection ports and then you flush it. I can include that, but typically I was told by people that build the system that that's not really for these type of chambers. It's for a different layout. So in this case, it's more important to put gutter guards on to keep debris from getting into the chambers. You put an inspection port, and obviously you can check it and look for siltation. If it gets above the stone, it has to be opened back up and stone removed and washed, which is on the plan here.
Have you gone over that with the property owners?
Yeah, we've talked about this as we were working on it, what's required for chambers like this.
Okay, I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Comments, questions from members of the commission? I just want to, I live over here, and this applicant did a great job opening and closing the pool permit. That slope in the backyard is not it's not an easy barrier to overcome, and everything was kept clean right through construction of the first half of this project. So I suspect that would continue through this pool house. I think it looks like a net reduction in impervious surface back there when we're infiltrating the roof. If anyone has any comments, members of the commission wise. All right, seeing none. Is there any members of the public here to speak about 56 Cosmo Road? All right, seeing none, I assume the applicant would like to close.
Yes, please.
All right, motion to close the public hearing on 56 Cosmo Road.
Second, Caulfield.
Motion Carroll, second Caulfield's, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carroll, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Caulfield's aye.
Beatty, aye.
Motion to issue a permit for work and order of conditions for 56 Cosmo Road.
Benson, second.
Carroll, motion, Benson, second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carroll, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Caulfield's aye.
Beatty, aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Turning to our next order of business, 231 Center Street, Carl Savage, Collins Civil Engineering Group, representatives for an addition. Hey Peter, how are you?
Good evening, everyone. You can hear me tonight.
We can hear you, we can see you.
Oh, you want me to share my screen to get going?
Please.
We can confirm we're looking at it. We should be good to go.
We can see it.
All right. I guess I'll jump into it. For the record, Peter Lyons with Collins Civil Engineering Group. We're here tonight representing the homeowner for, this is a notice of intent relative to an addition on existing residence. On the site, we have a stream and an associative BVW line. The proposed addition falls just inside the 100-foot line to the stream as well as the wetlands. We're proposing an approximately 26-foot by 55-foot garage and living space, partially demoing basically from the seam you see at the end of the porch. That will all be removed. This is going to be built on a slab, so no foundation. No increase in bedrooms here. This is all occurring in an existing lawn area previously disturbed. Some quick numbers. Our erosion control is the red dashed line. That's going to encompass all the work. That's as close as 51 feet to the resource. And the closest house corner is proposed at 70 feet to wetland flag 2 and 83 feet to the mean, actually, sorry, that's probably about 75 feet to the mean high water 1 flag. We have proposed a series of conservation posts starting at the street, going along the existing tree line and into the backyard. A total of 4 of those are proposed. Out on the street, we got 2 straw wattle check dams to contain the entrance area. Soil stockpiling is proposed within the sedimentation control limits. What else do we got? A dewatering pit is shown in the rear of the property, just at the 100-foot inner riparian line, the dark blue. What else? We have our pretty common notes, keeping the site clean, not in AC, EC on this one. Silt sacks to be installed in the street, as shown here. We got our 12-inch filter mitt, sedimentation control details, dewatering pit details as required. That's about it for this project. We are waiting to, I believe, close an existing permit for this one. I don't know how the timing works with that, you know, being later in the night, if we're anticipating closing that out, if we can vote on this, or I guess that's my presentation, so I'll let the commission take over. Thank you.
Jennifer, any staff comment?
Just that the wrong newspaper had been put in the butter notice, but they did re-notify all of the abutters correctly. One abutter did call with concerns about salamanders and some crayfish and the elevation of the water table, but I did not see anyone on the meeting tonight.
Okay. But the abutter notification has all been submitted and was done timely for the meeting?
Correct.
I actually, maybe embarrassingly, did not put together that this was the same property that we have up for the certificate of compliance.
Yes.
So I am going to suggest that we finish this hearing and then probably, let's do this hearing first. Comments from members of the commission on this? Questions?
So, I didn't notice any grading changes, so can you just discuss any grading changes due to the foundation or anything that's gonna happen there just before the slope?
Yeah, I mean, as you can see and as you mentioned, there are no proposed contours. So the natural grade here seems to work well, you know, with the water shedding away from the proposed structure. As mentioned, it's not going to be a deep foundation, it's just going to be a slab on grade. So, you know, we're not really digging down, so groundwater is not a concern. You know, groundwater is plenty deep to accommodate what we're trying to do out here, and no changes in the grade are proposed.
This includes a new septic system, is that correct?
No, the system was installed a couple of years ago, and I believe the order of conditions for that has been previously closed out, and we're waiting on an old order, if that makes sense. The septic work is all done. We're not increasing flow, so the septic's gonna remain as it is.
I think I just got a little confused because it's on the plan.
Yeah, it's just showing the existing septic system. Just to, you know, we need to make sure we meet the setbacks required for this. So that's the as-built location from when the septic was installed. So we just got some notes, you know, to keep construction vehicles away from it. So that's why it's really shown on the plan.
No other questions?
Any other members of the commission have questions? Any comments from members of the public? I I see that maybe a phone number may have just joined us, Jen.
Yeah.
Do we know if that's in a butter?
Do not. I forget how to tell people to raise their hand when they're on the phone. So like *9 maybe. Oh, a hand went up and then it came down.
It looks like I can say allowed to talk, but I don't want to like ambush the phone number, right? If it'll just throw them in as a panelist.
Yeah, I can't make them not a panelist without kicking them out of the meeting either still. I don't know why it does that for me.
So I'll just say it again. So when you sign into Zoom on a phone, it usually will prompt you how to do commands. So this is for whoever may be on here as 178-1929-1203. We're seeking public comment for 231 Center Street. I'll give it another minute. All right, Peter, I assume your client would like to close this?
Yes.
I'll do a motion to close the public hearing for 231 Center Street.
80 second.
Carol with the motion, Spady a second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Grossman, aye.
Paul Phil's aye.
Spady, aye.
All right, motion
Do you have a
to,
file number?
we do have a DEP file number.
Yeah, we just got it this afternoon.
So I'll do a motion to close, motion to issue a permit for work and order of conditions for 231 Center Street.
Grossman, second.
Carol with the motion, Crossman second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Grossman, aye.
Paul Phil's aye.
80 aye.
All right, thank you. Calling the next order of business of the Conservation Commission, 13 Heath Road, Frederick, tomorrow. Collins Civil Engineering, septic repair.
Can you see this one?
We can see it.
Awesome. Again, for the record, Peter Lyons with Collins Civil Engineering Group. We're here tonight with a notice of intent relative to the repair of a failed 3-bedroom septic system. Quick overview of the site. It's, as you can see, a triangular long lot off of Heath Road on the, we'll call it the southwestern lot line. We have an underground drainage system which comes out to a a stream with the delineated mean high water shown by the dark blue. The 50-foot buffer to that is the orange, and the 100-foot basically cuts the house in half. The proposed work is occurring in the backyard. We will be pumping and filling the existing septic tank, installing a new 1,500 gallon 2-compartment septic tank, 1,000 gallon pump chamber.
Peter, would you mind just zooming in a little bit? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I gotcha. There we go. Yeah, it's a little busy here. All right.
Thank you.
There we go. So we'll come the 2 tanks, and then we'll pump it to a 14 by 40 foot pipe and stone leaching field. There will be a minimal grade change associated with the relatively high groundwater out here. The end of the system will be 1.5 to 2 feet above existing grade. No real changes in the watershed direction. Everything runs down towards the wetlands. We are proposing sedimentation control around the entire project, starting at the existing fence, wrapping down gradient and closing off at the house. We will also be encompassing the soil stockpile area. This is also going to be our access and through this side. So, I mean, obviously stockpiling will be limited. I think that pile showing is a little oversized of what we're actually going to see out there. We are showing dewatering detail for in the back of the property by test pit 1 within the sedimentation control limits. Looks like we're proposing 4 conservation markers along the back property line. We don't want to push them off the property, so that's, you know, as close to the existing tree line and the resource area as we can go. Let's see what else we got going. Couple of different wetland notes. One thing mentioned in the staff report was removing leaves in the area of flags 5 and 6, 10 and 11, which would be 5 and 6 behind the shed and 10 and 11 further out back. So those are just to be moved a little further away from the resource area. We're also proposing silt sacks in the catch basins as shown on the plan. So that's down towards the intersection. On the bottom, we have our conservation post details. Let's see the normal stuff. We are in I believe the Hockomock ACEC on this one. Because of that, we are requesting a waiver to work within 100 feet of the BBW within an ACEC. Quick summary of the waiver request. Let's see. Basically, minimization of impacts to the resource, restoring it back to a lawn. Erosion control dewatering is proposed. In general, it's a public benefit because we're replacing a failed septic system with a modern septic, resulting in better groundwater quality. That's about it on this one. I think I mentioned this is in the Hockomock ACEC, and I guess I'll take any questions from the commission.
Jen, any staff comments?
Just a note about the compost that's very close to the wetland. The homeowner was at the property at the time of the inspection, so we went over that together.
Perfect. Comments, questions from members of the commission? Yeah. Comments from, I have no comments or questions on this one, Peter. Any members of the public here to comment on this? All right, seeing none, again, Peter, assume your client would like to close.
Yes, please.
Motion to close the public hearing on 13 Heath Road.
Benson second.
Carol motion, Benson second. Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Paul Fels, aye.
Spady, aye.
Motion to issue a permit for work and order of conditions for 13 Heath Road.
Crossman second.
Carol motion, Crossman second. Roll call vote, please.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Paul Fels, aye.
Spady, aye.
Thank you. Turning to our next order of business, 24 Pequannock Ave, Patrick and Aaron Welch, ERC LLC representative for the notice of intent for septic system and landscaping.
Good evening, members of the commission. Brad Holmes from ECR here for Patrick and Aaron Welch for their property at 24 Pequannock Road. Can I pull up the site plan?
Please.
Thanks. All right. If you can see this is Mass GIS, just to give you an idea where the site lies. Number 24 is right here, right on Old Pond at the intersection of Beaver Brook and Old Pond. They're on the right, the west side of Pequannock Avenue. Pull up the site plan. Here is the the site plan. So we've delineated the mean annual high water line of the pond or Beaver Brook. There's a bordering vegetated wetland associated with the water body. There's also land subject to a bordering land subject to flooding, which is the FEMA A zone here. And with that, we have the 100-foot buffer zone, 100-foot riverfront, and 200-foot riverfront. The site now contains a single-family dwelling here with a gravel driveway. The house is dilapidated. There is a maintained yard area. You can see the existing woods line here. But what's proposed at the site is a redevelopment project. It's located beyond the riverfront and buffer zone. It's going to consist of removal of the existing dwelling and reconstruction of a new home with deck and stairs. There's also a new septic system proposed to service the house with a tank. The leach field is located within the riverfront area with proposing erosion controls, as you can see. Although the home and septic system are basically exempt from riverfront regulations and beyond the jurisdictional areas, we wanted to include a notice of intent to permit the work, because we're also looking to just do some minor exempt activities within the beyond the buffer zone and within the riverfront. But we wanted to have everything in front of the commission so they're aware of the project, so that there aren't any confusion with a larger project such as this outside the jurisdictional areas. We are envisioning in the future this area shaded in green would be an area where there'd be some planting of native plants, some gardens, and possibly locating a shed here within the riverfront, which would be under 200 square feet. There are proposed conservation markers along the existing woods line and just outside the flood zone, and the remaining area, but the remaining area in the riverfront and buffer zone will remain as is. So it's a fairly complex site in the sense that there's lots of resource areas that are under protection, but the proposed work is somewhat easier to view with the septic system upgrade and just really just exempt activities. So with that, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Jennifer, can we start with staff comment?
I think there were a number of comments in the staff report, but these plans were just brought in today.
It seemed like a lot in the staff report just had to do with some paperwork needing to be sort of refilled out. Do we have what we need there?
We have a number of items. Brad, maybe you want to start with the comment about the floodplain?
Sure. The flood zone A here is depicted. Luke Klim was able to put a note on the plan as far as where the flood. Let me get back to the correct site plan where the flood zone came from. Site does contain a map flood zone as shown on panel. Approximate flood zone is taken from FEMA data layer. I think there was a confusion on the last plan.
Yeah, there's a little bit of confusion there because you have the high water line at 116 feet, but then the grades right next to it are 31, 32, 33. They should be using the same datum on these plans.
And I think that was because there's Luke was bringing in the septic system design plan that had that reference. He's taken that reference off that elevation and just put the flood zone A and brought it depicted in from the data layer. So it is a reference to a 116 anymore.
So I'm seeing a 116 by high water line between mean annual high mark 3 and A3.
And I just got these plans to Jennifer today, so we haven't been able to coordinate further. Is that 100? I'm not sure what that reference is, that 116.00 by high water line.
Okay. All of the other work that is being proposed, I mean, I have to assume there's going to be some grading in there. But the plans, even the ones you just showed, don't have any grading on it. So it's a little tough for the commission to say there won't be a negative impact or that it actually is exempt if we don't have any details for what's proposed. I mean, there's a planting plan. Is any more detail proposed?
There isn't anything solid. We just wanted to have that activity covered with the commission that within that range. We don't have any landscape plans or formal planting plans. It's just that if they wanted to put gardens in that area or some native plantings, it wouldn't have to come back in front of the commission. The grading, there isn't any grading proposed. The area is, would be outside the riverfront. The house now is, you can see the contours, but it's as I remember the site, it's fairly flat in that area. Although the contours are showing us
Yeah, it's not flat.
3 feet here. But we don't. There isn't any grading proposed. So if they have to do grading, we'll have to come back to the commission if it's within your jurisdiction.
So there's increased impervious surface within the ACEC.
And that was a question I had, is that we're outside of the jurisdictional areas? Is it just covered in full within the ACEC? There isn't any impervious surface proposed in the...
Yeah, well, no, the house is much bigger than existing, so that's a new impervious surface. And there was something in the narrative about revising the existing gravel driveway.
All we're proposing is just re-gravel the existing gravel driveway. But as far as the house, yes, the house is definitely larger than existing, but it's beyond the 200-foot riverfront area.
So
it is within the whole section of the ACE.
Yeah, the AC in the bylaw, it doesn't matter for the ACEC. It's if it's on the site and in the ACEC, then it's there's some jurisdiction there.
Okay, I was unaware. I mean, if you were anywhere in the ACEC and you don't have wetlands on the lot, the commission still has jurisdiction on it.
If you're on the property, if it's in the property and you filed a permit, then the commission can look beyond the resource areas for the ACEC.
Okay.
The invasive species in the brush pile.
That's not a problem. The brush pile was in your notes. That's certainly agreeable to take out, and we can add in invasive plant removal.
Okay. I mean, those are the bulk of the comments. If there's nothing on the plan that shows us what's being proposed, then it's a little tough to say it won't have an impact on the wetland for the commission to make that decision. And you just sent these to me today, so.
I understood. Wanted to open it to the commission and get comments.
Those are mine for you.
I think I'm just a little confused as to the landscaping that's being proposed. The point of this is it's really you're asking a question as to whether or not they need permission to do 200-foot shed and native plantings in the section that's shaded in green in front of us right now. Is that what I'm understanding, Brad?
Most of these activities would be exempt under the Rivers Protection Act. Your bylaw has, as you know, is much more stringent. We want to get an order of conditions so that the commission's aware of all the activities on site and obviously the jurisdictional limits. Should the commission decide that the area that this work is exempt and we don't have to file for it, then that's up to you, but we wanted to bring it forward.
Okay. All right. So you're looking for some clarification on that, essentially, is what
we're looking for an order of conditions just approving the work. I don't know if you need to
understood
clarify It's minor in nature so that they have a permit to work on their property without, there being confusion of where things lie.
Okay. Questions from members of the commission on this? Rory?
Okay. I'll bring it up myself. So I guess my question is that, we're proposing the septic system in the riverfront area, but there's no details about it. Is that correct?
The septic leach field is shown within the riverfront, the septic tanks. There was a plan previously done by Collins Engineering. I don't have the details on that as far as the septic details. That was rolled into this plan by Clem Survey.
So was the septic system previously approved?
Not by the Conservation Commission.
I see. So is it, just as a point of information to the commission here, do we need those details on this plan? Because we're approving this plan, and that's within jurisdiction, I would think. And I assume there'd be alterations in grading and everything else associated with the septic system. So that's one comment from me.
Okay.
Is there also a proposal to do a fence in that area, between the 100 and 200 foot riverfront?
There's a silk fence that's shown on the plan. That's that red line for the septic system. I didn't include fencing into this application.
Okay, so that red marker is just the sediment control, not any fencing.
Correct.
Okay. That's the end of my questions. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any comments from members of the public for 24 Quantico Ave? All right, seeing none, Brad, I assume you want to continue?
Yes, we'll continue and get that additional detail.
So we'll do a motion to continue 24 Quantico Ave to the next meeting of the Conservation Commission, which I believe is December 4th, 2023.
Second.
Carol motion, Spadia second, roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Paul Fels, aye.
Speedy, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Turning to our next order of business, 34 Norfolk Ave. This is an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation to verify wetland resources. This applicant has requested a continuance. I don't think discussion is needed. If anyone feels otherwise, please jump in. But I'll do a motion to continue the December 4th, motion to continue 36 Norfolk Ave to the December 4th meeting of the Conservation Commission.
Benson, second.
Carol motion, Benson second, roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Paul Fels, aye.
Speedy, aye.
All right, moving on to continued hearings and possible deliberations. 102 Eastman Street, which is a notice of intent for improvements to a liquefied natural gas storage facility, including construction/reconstruction of buildings. This applicant has requested a continuance to the December 18th meeting of the commission. Jennifer, do we have an expectation that they'll be ready? I know we've continued this one a few times.
Yes, we've had that discussion a couple of times.
Okay.
They're doing some more soil testing next Tuesday.
And I also, I'm sensitive to the fact that it's a large site, but just want to make sure that they are on track to be here for 12/18.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any comments on this? Seeing none, motion to continue 102 Eastman Street to the December 18th, 2023 meeting of the Conservation Commission as requested by the applicant.
Crossman, second.
Carol with the motion, Crossman second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
All Fells, aye.
Spady, aye.
All right, turning to, moving on to requests for amendments, 9 Hobart Way. This is a request to amend house size, driveway location, water line type, and retaining wall location. Is anyone here to present this project?
I've promoted Ken twice, nothing's happened yet. Okay, it's coming along now. Said he was coming.
Give him a minute.
Not sure what happened there. It said it was joining and now I don't see him anywhere.
So I guess I would recommend at this point we just give him another minute or two, just because if I put him for second call, it'll be after the certificate of compliance, and we have quite a few of those tonight. So just as a courtesy, I say we just give him until 7:14 to jump on or send us a notification that he's having a tech issue.
There we go.
And we can see you.
Oh,
Seems like there's a feedback loop.
I don't know if it was showing me as a webinar and I didn't understand you had to promote me. Sorry about that. It's been a while since I used this. Good evening, my name's Ken Thompson. I was the original biologist working on the project. We're before you tonight to, the owner wants to downsize the house from 1,524 square feet down to a 1,300 square foot house. And he wants to, instead of directionally drilling the water line, he wants to put it over the top of the bridge. There's several questions by you. Sorry, I got flustered over this stuff.
Don't get flustered on our account, we're here.
I think I'm just getting too old to play with computers at this point. So our current plan, we've shown the water line on the property, the proposed water line. They kind of rotated the house. Jennifer asked for a detailed retaining wall. Mr. Ragland has requested that we contact a structural engineer to have that put into the file, and that's in progress.
And do you want to show your plan?
Oh, sure. All right, now that's the next question.
Green arrow at the bottom will say share screen.
There you go. All right, here we go. Sorry. I was all zoomed in here. Let me zoom out.
We can see the plan.
All right. So here's a proposed water line. A portion of it's located within the NRT easement. We have talked to David Lindgren approximately on that, and he wants us to have a peer review on site during the construction within the easement. And we agreed to that, and we will be paying for that. That's the first question. Second, this is a new house, 1,300 and so square feet. Jennifer asked if we were moving, I imagine this section of roadway, we're not. We're just changing it over to this direction. She had requested that the conservation post markers be added to the plan, which they were. There is the impervious design by a structural air, which is in progress. Electric and other utilities have been added to the plan. She also asked about a limit because we're so close to the conservation easement to install a post and rail fence. We will do that. And the new driveway location, okay. And we're going to keep the original mitigation areas here. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to trench from the road into here, run the water line over with electric heat tape, drop it back down below frost grade, and run it to the house. She had originally asked about the other second home's water line. It's a plastic line, and the water department doesn't have anything to help us, so they're going to have to probe that during the excavation. And I think we are decreasing impacts to buffer zone, and all the three buffer zones, the riverfront, the 100-foot buffer, and the floodplain buffer.
Ken, could you explain again just how the water now is being proposed to get across the bridge?
They're going to trench from the road. Can you see the
We can see the orange. Yep.
Okay. You come up to the bridge at below frost grade, then they're going to loop it over the top of the bridge. There's 2 feet of fill, 3 feet of fill on top of that bridge. So they're going to go down to about 2 feet, wrap it in insulation, and put a heat tape on it. And it has an automatic on-off switch. And once you get across the bridge, you go back down below frost grade and bring it to the house. Does that make sense?
How does that heat tape get power?
It'll be powered from the house.
So you'll run, or I assume, is it underground electrical to this house?
It comes in about this corner here, there's a pole, and then it drops down and runs across within the driveway area.
So you'll run electricity back to the bridge, essentially?
I believe that's how it works. I'm not an engineer. This is what I've been told, so. I mean.
Is that going to require additional trenching on the other side?
I do not know that answer, in all honesty.
Okay.
Is there a detail showing the culvert? What's the situation? What's the status of the culvert? What does that look like?
They're gonna go underneath it. With the water line?
You're not going under the culvert. You said you're going over the culvert.
Over the bridge. Over the bridge is what I meant. Sorry. We have a bridge and then we have a culvert. So we're going under the culvert and over the bridge. Does that make sense?
Does that show on your detail?
I don't see it. That was the culvert for the intermittent stream?
So it looks like there was an attendee with his hand up. I actually can't see who, I just see attendees hand raised.
Nick Marioni.
Oh, there you go.
Hi, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. We cannot see you.
Okay. Okay, let me try that then. How's that?
We can hear you, we can see you.
Okay, so we are putting a new meter pit in right off the edge of the road, and we will be going over the culvert, dropping down below the frost line, over the bridge, coming up over the bridge, and dropping down below the frost line again. And we've been putting a sub-meter on that pole that Ken was referring to, and running back in the same line with the water line,
Okay.
with the electric.
Okay, thank you.
And Ken, did I hear it correctly that Collins or somebody told you that you need a structural engineer for a portion of the bridge work?
No, for this retaining wall up by the house.
Okay, all right, that makes
We did request the drawing of it, and
that makes a little more sense.
yeah.
Need those plans before you start work?
Yep, okay.
And it's a 3-foot wall, right?
If it's over 4 feet, we'll have to pull a permit.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think under 3. If it's 3 feet or under, do we want a spec? Because in that case, the building.
We don't mind submitting it.
All right. Yeah. Jens, do you have? I know we've kind of been working through this, but do you have any additional staff comments?
This is the first I'm seeing of any of the responses to my comments. So I know plans were dropped off today, but it's just a set of plans without any kind of letter saying what's changed on the plans. So that has not been reviewed yet.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Questions or comments from members of the commission? Rory?
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
No, we
can hear
hear
you
you.
now.
So I think that I just need to open up my own copy here. So one of the things, do we have? I didn't see a comparative of this location of the house versus what was originally. I shouldn't say originally approved. What was approved in the amendment, the first amendment. I don't know if anybody else needs that to make the decision.
I can probably help you with the original house. Give me 1 second, please.
While Ken is working on that, was there an original waiver on this property, or was that not? Was the directional drilling of the water line not considered a public benefit for the purposes of a waiver? Just want to make sure that we're not eliminating something that we used to give a waiver on this property.
I believe there were several waivers.
I think there were waivers. They would be written at the back of the original order of condition.
So I would ask that we take a look at that, and not necessarily at this moment as part of the meeting, but maybe at our next meeting that we look at the waivers to see what public benefit was given to that the 6-inch main that was going underneath. I just want to make sure that we didn't grant a waiver with that as a public benefit, and now we're eliminating it.
I think that makes sense.
I think the benefit was the restoration work in the floodplain and along the field.
Perfect. I mean, that would be perfect if it was. I just want to make sure that we're not doing that. That's all. Would be my only question. What's that?
Sorry, we certainly had a lot of discussion around the directional drilling, and I just don't remember what direction it went in. So I would agree.
I think that the only other question or comment that I have is that I would like to see NRT's approval / restrictions on whatever work's being done in the driveway. It doesn't seem too much different than what was originally proposed, but I would like to see some confirmation from them that they're agreeing to this amendment, given their control of that particular easement. So.
Okay.
That's it for me.
All right. Any Al? Did you have a comment?
Just wondering if the change from directional drilling subsurface / subsurface to a trenching mechanism is going to require other permits, especially a revised plan on how to handle the soil during trenching.
You mean like a stockpile plan?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess between now and next meeting, is that something, could the applicant just discuss stockpiling materials for the trenching purposes? Which I suspect we had some conversation around when it wasn't going over the bridge.
They were gonna stockpile it on the up gradient side of the roadway during the construction of it. On the waivers, Rory, you were talking about the waivers. I've got the order conditions open. Which one were you questioning? Was it the
I was
bridge?
just wondering whether or not there was public benefit given to the putting the water line underneath the stream rather than going over the bridge for public benefit.
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it.
So, I mean,
I don't understand.
Well, that might be a good thing.
I mean, the benefit was restoring the fields. That was, restoring buffer zones on this whole project. That would seem to be my recollection of that.
If we can just verify that, Jennifer, and get confirmation, I
Yeah.
think that'd be great. Doubt about that. So.
All right. Any further comments from the commission? Any comments from members of the public with regard to this request for amendment at 9 Hobart Way? All right, so Ken, I'm going to make a motion to continue this. All right.
Understood.
Motion to continue the request for amendment at 9 Hobart Way until the December 4th meeting of the Conservation Commission.
Benson, second.
Carol motion, Benson second, roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Rossman, aye.
All Fells, aye.
Spady, aye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice holiday.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
I printed the agenda double-sided, so if I'm not missing anything, we're on to certificates of compliance. Our
You want to
first,
skip ahead because you have one person here waiting for 71 mil.
what am I missing?
Just if you want to skip ahead to 71 mil.
Oh, yeah,
Because
sorry.
we have somebody waiting for that
Absolutely.
one.
I think we have 231 center too.
Oh, Peter's here too. Yeah, thank you, Rory.
All right, so in fairness of the order in which they're written, we'll do we'll take these out of order, but I'll do 231 center first because it does come up first in the list of certificates of compliance for tonight.
I have no comments on that. That's ready to close.
Okay. Well, Peter, I'm sorry I made you wait here. I meant to address this after the discussion we had earlier. So I'll do any discussion from the board around 231 Center Street certificate of compliance. Motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 231 Center Street with regards to septic and garage.
Rossman, second.
Carol motion, Crossman second, roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
All Fells, aye.
Spady, aye.
All right, thank you.
All right, I have a couple more on here. Do I need to, are there any concerns with those? I mean, I don't mind sticking around if there is discussion on them.
I think we're okay.
Okay.
Don't anticipate any discussion.
All right. Thank you all very much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Calling the next order of business, 71 Mill Street, KLK Enterprises, applicant Tudison. Representative request for certificate of compliance for construction of subdivision and houses at Barron Estates.
Goes.
Hey, we can see you, we can hear you.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
All right, how about you?
Not too bad. When we were here last time, we were missing some information and we had made a request for a partial COC. I believe all the information has been provided. So instead of a partial COC, we'd ask the board issue a full COC so we can wrap up the subdivision. If the commission members recall, we were asking for some lenience because we were trying to get the roadway approved at the town meeting. The town meeting vote to accept the roadway occurred last week. So we're hoping you folks will issue a full COC tonight so we can get this one put to bed.
I know at the last meeting there was a lot of conversation about punch list items essentially that would be done at the road between last meeting and now. Has that been done?
It has. An as-built plan has been submitted. The signs were installed, I think a week or two after we last met. And I think that's it, right, Kenny?
Yeah, it was cleaned up. Yeah.
Everything was cleaned up.
And I was at town meeting. We did in fact vote to make this to accept the roadway. Jennifer, staff comments on this?
Yeah, you have two different order certificates of compliance. So the first one, DEP 152-1469 and E number 1349. That was the previous permit that was had expired. There's a partial certificate of compliance on that. So that one is ready for a full certificate of compliance.
Okay.
Take these one at a time.
All right, so any, I guess we'll do that one first. Any comments from members of the commission for the first one? All right, so I will do a motion to issue a full certificate of compliance for 71 Mill Street, specifically DEP number 152-1469-E1349.
Beatty, second.
Carol, motion, Spadia, second, roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Rossman, aye.
All falls aye.
Beatty, aye.
All right.
Okay, the next one, DP number 152-1731, E number 1745. This is the one that we had most of the discussion on last time. Permit I still says DPW needs the CAD file. I don't know if that was sent in or not.
That was sent in this afternoon, Jennifer. Luke Klim, he doesn't have access to Permit Eyes, so we somehow got it to Garrett. A copy has been emailed to you, and if it hasn't been uploaded to Permit Eyes, we'll get it over there in the morning.
Okay.
I don't have access to it. We'll have to get through Garrett.
It's been emailed to the DPW.
The CAD file, not a PDF.
Yes.
The CAD file has been
Right.
emailed to DPW.
Yes.
Okay. That must have been after 4:30 because I have not seen that.
It
was
was
5:19.
Yeah.
Okay. The only remaining issue we had was that the as-built plan did not have grading on it, so I'm sure you guys have comments on that.
The stormwater regulations require elevations. If you look at the as-built plan, it shows the grading on the basin, which is actually outside of this board's jurisdiction, but it was part of your order of conditions. And the inverts are all shown on the as-built plan, so.
At the last meeting, you voted to issue a partial certificate of compliance with a surety. But because the surety agreement was never signed, you would need to rescind that motion from the last meeting and then take your vote on this meeting.
Okay. Any comments from members of the commission? Here.
I just want to look at the as-built to understand what Attorney O'Shaughnessy just said, so.
So Rory, if you look at the profile, we gave you the as-built of the homes and the lots. And the invert elevations are all called out for the drainage system.
Sure. The only difference is your order of conditions and your bylaw requires grading for the individual lots as well.
I'm not sure I agree with that, but
It's right in your order of condition.
it says grading. If you look at the stormwater regulations, if you look at there's two conflicting provisions in the regulations. One talks about an as-built that has to be certified by an engineer, which the plan does. In the stormwater section, that's where it makes reference to grades and elevations. So what I'm suggesting is the as-built that was provided shows the grading of the detention basin as well as the inverts of all of the stormwater management systems. And it's shown.
Your wetland permit, the order of conditions says grading for everything that was proposed previously. For future projects, you should be aware that all grading will be required on as-built plans, the same way it is on everybody who submits an as-built plan for their projects in the future.
I think just the point there is that that was the condition. So
I agree, Rory, but if you look, the only real scope of work was at the entranceway. And when this certificate of, when this order of conditions was requested, the only work that was remaining, except for some plantings, was the top coat at the time.
Okay.
So I'm okay with the elevations that are on the plan. I think it's not ideal, and we'd like to see more elevations on plans moving forward. But this is a road that was accepted at town meeting. I think the vast majority of everything we discussed at last meeting has been done between last meeting and now, and I think it's completed. Just giving Rory a moment because it looks like he's reading something. Okay. So I need to do any comments from anyone else on the commission? So I need to do a motion to having a
rescind the motion of the 10-10 meeting to approve the partial certificate of compliance with the surety.
I'm going to say so moved. Just a lazy way of doing that.
Paul second.
Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Rossman, aye.
Paul aye.
Beatty, aye.
Okay, and then you make your motion on this request for a COC.
Motion to issue a COC for DEP number 152-1731-1745 71 Mill Street.
Paul second.
Carol with the motion, Caulfield second, roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Rossman, aye.
Paul's aye.
Beatty, aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
very
guys.
much.
Thank you. Happy holiday.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving.
You too.
So turning back to our agenda, I'm not on my game tonight. Did we do 30 Berwick?
Nope.
No.
That's where you are.
All right, so back to 30 Berwick. Certificate of compliance for a repair to a septic system.
Yeah, there are no issues with that. You can issue a full.
Okay. Any comments from the commission? We have quite a few of these, so if Jen says there's no issue, I'm just gonna go for the motion. If anyone has comments on any of them, jump in, please. Motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 30 Berwick Road.
Crossman second.
Carol motion, Crossman second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Crossman aye.
Paul Fels, aye.
Spady aye.
81 Short, calling our next order of business, 81 Short Street, request for certificate of compliance.
That's also ready for a full certificate.
All right, thank you. Motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 81 Short Street.
Benson, second.
Carol motion, Benson second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Crossman aye.
Paul Fels, aye.
Spady aye.
All right, next order of business, request for certificate of compliance, 274 Washington Street.
We did receive the plan with the surveyor stamp on it, so this is ready for a full certificate of compliance.
All right, motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 274 Washington Street.
Spady second.
Carol motion, Spady a second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Crossman aye.
Paul Fels, aye.
Spady aye.
All right, next order of business, 6 Karen Marie Circle.
The plan does still need a land surveyor stamp. Otherwise, it is ready for a full.
Do we suspect we're gonna get a land surveyor stamp?
They are aware of it. I sent a whole bunch of emails right at the last minute today as I was getting ready with all the little bits of multiple projects. So I would anticipate we would get it before the next meeting.
All right, so do I need to do a motion to continue this one? Or just
No, you
skip
can
it?
either take no action or you can issue it pending receiving the.
All right, let's issue it pending receiving if that's all it's missing is a surveyor stamp. Motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 6 Karen Marie Circle pending receipt of the plans as produced to the Conservation Office with a surveyor stamp.
Benson, second.
All right, so Carol motion, Benson second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Crossman aye.
Paul Fels, aye.
Spady aye.
We did 231 Center. Next order of business is 7 Bradford Street.
Yeah, this is an oldie but goodie. We have 0 documentation on it other than the copy of the order of conditions they gave us, and the planning board also does not have any documents. So as far as I can tell, you could issue a certificate of compliance on this because you're just not ever going to get any more information.
How old is this?
Well, the file number is 329, so couple decades.
And so we don't know what was proposed or what was done?
I mean, it looked like a road and drainage project with a number of houses on a cul-de-sac.
Okay.
Yeah, but there are no as-built plans anywhere that I could find, and you're not going to require one homeowner to do as-built plans for a whole roadway.
No. I think things like this cut 2 ways, so it's just worth taking a moment to say it out loud so that we know what we're voting on here. By closing this, we close it, and we can't go back and take issue with it. And it doesn't sound like we actually know what we're closing. I think practically speaking, what you have is a subdivision where you have individual homeowners, and it probably is a situation where the town, is it a public road? It's not a private way, right, Jennifer?
I don't even know that. I
Okay.
assume it's a public road. But
I think that's just something we probably ought to look at briefly to make sure that we're not accidentally doing a roadway acceptance procedure here.
Although there's likely anything we could do about it anyway.
Yeah, that's a solid
Probably an
point.
LLC that did the subdivision has been dissolved at this point. There's nobody to go after anyway, so.
But if Bradford, I guess my point is if Bradford's like a private road and they're doing their own snowplow and maintenance on that road, which I don't suspect that it is, then by accepting this, are we then taking responsibility in any way for, all right, fair enough.
no, it needs to be approved at town meeting for that to happen.
Okay, I think I'm overthinking this. I'm going to do a motion to issue a certificate of compliance. I've talked myself into it. Does anyone feel otherwise or have an opinion here?
I like the due diligence, that's all.
Sometimes being a lawyer is a hindrance to things.
No,
All right, motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 7 Bradford Street.
All fell
Wait a
second.
second.
I'm gonna give it to Rory because he talked that one out with me. Carol motion, Rory second, roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
All fell second.
Spady, aye.
All right, and now we're moving on to enforcement. So let's start with 20 Central Street. Restoration plans were due 11/6/23.
Yes.
Jennifer, what have we received?
They were received, they look good, they were approved, and we did an on-site meeting last week, so they are still on the right track, yes.
Very good.
That's it.
Any,
Just-
any discussion needed from us on that?
well, to just ratify the enforcement order. At the last meeting, you guys said, yes, revise it, and I signed it, but to ratify, you guys would need to ratify that decision, so it's a motion to ratify the enforcement order for 20 Central Street.
Okay.
Motion to ratify the enforcement order for 20 Central Street.
Carol second. So Rory motion, Carol second, roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
All fell aye.
Spady, aye.
Next enforcement action is 718 Washington Street.
Yep, the restoration plan is due today. We did receive it. They resubmitted it this afternoon, actually, but I have not had a chance to finish looking at it. But they did submit it when they were supposed to. So your motion is to ratify the enforcement order again, because I signed, you directed me to change the date. I signed it, but it's really supposed to come from you. So just to ratify the enforcement order.
All right, motion to ratify the enforcement order for 718 Washington Street.
Benson, second.
Carol motion, Benson second, roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
All fell aye.
Spady, aye.
Next order of business, 109 Rockland Street under enforcement.
They did contact me that they hired a wetland consultant and an engineer, and they should be submitting something in the near future.
We will accept in the near future for now, and hopefully we'll see them on the next meeting.
It won't be the next meeting, the deadline was today, but
Fair. Well taken. I guess turning next to board discussion.
yes, there's a conservation restriction for 58 Mill Street. That's the Owlhead subdivision. I think it's 9 acres, includes rare species habitat. So we just need you guys to approve and then come in and wet sign the conservation restriction.
Questions from anyone on this one?
Just as a point of information, I think you mean Owl Ridge. not
Sorry, what did I say? Owlhead, Owl Ridge.
It's written.
Thank you.
Just as a point of information, they've actually got the bridge in. I don't know if anybody goes up and down Mill Street, but they've got the bridge in now. And I haven't been out to inspect it, but I have noticed the progress being made up there in the last few months. So.
Rory, could you turn up your volume just a little bit? I'm having trouble hearing you.
I'm just talking too damn softly there.
Thank you.
I will start getting on my chairman voice. How's that?
Please do. Any other comments on the conservation restriction for Owl Ridge? All right, so you need a motion to approve the conservation restriction, then we all have to actually go to town offices and sign that. I'm repeating that because I was actually the one who was slowest to sign the last one of these that we did. So a motion to approve the conservation restriction as proposed for 78 Mill Street, the Owl Ridge subdivision.
I'll second.
All right, Carol motion, Caulfield second, roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Caulfield's eye.
Stady, aye.
Next up is accepting the meeting minutes from 10/10/23.
Jennifer and I went over those today, just a couple of little minor things, and I would suggest that we can approve those. As submitted.
I just want to make sure that the notation as me as chair gets fixed.
Six.
We did, thank you.
Thank you.
So the motion to accept the meeting minutes of 10/10/23.
Benson, second.
Carol motion, Benson second, roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Caulfield's eye.
Stady, aye.
I think what may be our most heated section of discussion tonight is up next. Tentative meeting schedule for 2024. Jennifer did some math, and essentially, if we change from a 2-meeting schedule, a meeting every 2 week schedule to a meeting every 3 week schedule, it costs us 2 meetings across the year, 3 meetings across the year. Thank you, Jennifer. And I am personally in favor of this. I could certainly understand why folks may not be in favor of this, and so I'd like to have a discussion.
I am in favor of it.
I'm in favor of it.
What are the cons? Just for argument's sake.
I think the cons are that for as long as I've
We don't
been
get to see each other as much.
right, for as long as I've been involved, there's been a meeting every 2 weeks for the Conservation Commission, and changing in a way that has a meeting once every 3 weeks could potentially be perceived as, I don't know, shrinking the public availability of these meetings. But
They'll just have a little more on the agendas, but that's fine, right?
The only administrative concern, I guess, that I have is that I think there's some times in the meeting schedule where the 3 weeks goes out to 4 weeks because of just the way the weeks lay out. And in those cases, Jennifer has to get their their approval to waive the 21-day rule, which we either have to take action on a permit within 21 days, or they could actually file to have it be automatically approved. I'm paraphrasing there. It's much more complicated than that, but they could actually get the permit without having a hearing. So I just caution us and understand that that's one of the reasons why it was 2 weeks, was because then you don't have to go out and get waivers when you're exceeding the 3 weeks. So,
Well, they wouldn't just be an approved project. They would still have to go through the appeal with DEP.
correct. Yeah, absolutely. They could get a permit without a hearing in front of us. So DEP would still have to approve it. No question. It's not that their plans get rubber stamped. They go to DEP instead of us.
So most people do file their permits according to the deadline. So if you change the meeting schedule and people know when the deadline is, that's when they file their applications for the most part.
Yeah.
I think that's more just something we need to be alert to.
Yeah, this was not me disagreeing with it.
Yeah.
It is strictly making sure that this board understands there is some administrative burden potentially. And it's not on us, fortunately, it's on Jennifer, but unfortunately.
Fortunately.
Could we give it a try, and then if there's public comment that it's negative, then we reconsider the 2 week?
Yeah, I think that's certainly an alternative for us to consider, that if we start getting pushback from either applicants or from the public having less access. You do hear from time to time the public thinks that they don't have enough access to boards, but I don't know that that's an accurate description of our availability.
Every 2 weeks is pretty generous, I think.
So I think we're also the only board that
very accessible.
Right, like a planning board is once a month. Is anyone else every 2 weeks?
I think planning board's every 2 weeks, select board's every 2 weeks.
We are all on the same schedule, the same Monday night.
So I am not raising this, I am only raising these issues to have clarity in the conversation and decision, that's all. I am not objecting to the suggestion of every 3 to 4
Yeah.
meeting schedule.
I say go for it.
All right. I don't think it's too. Do we need a motion for this?
No, it's more
it's-
discussion. I have to start planning for the next meetings, so.
Yeah.
Would a vote be appropriate among ourselves?
I don't think you need it, but you can if you like.
It sounds like nobody's adamantly disagreeing, so I think we'll move forward and try the 3-week thing and see if we get any pushback. Turning to chair updates. What's that?
No, go ahead.
Just the only update that I have is I have some, it's sort of unrelated, but I have some work commitments through January. And I know we've been talking about revising the bylaw and a lot of conversations around that. And I just want to make sure that my schedule doesn't impede upon what we've been trying to do for a long time here. Al, I think you probably have some updates for us after town meeting for CPC.
I do. The most relevant is that there's a proposal coming in for the Oak Ames Hall that will request approximately $10 million in CPC funds, which is pretty significant amount. So the second thing was that I had gotten permission from the chair to start developing a long-term financial forecast for the committee, which will give us an idea of all the changes in the financial structure coming up through at least 2031, where the shovel shop loan is supposed to be repaid. Additionally, there's 2 loans that are being paid off before that date. But the big question is what's going to happen with Oak Ames. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a point of information what's the process at this point on the Clifford Grant piece of property that we purchased at town meeting? What's the process at this point?
That's something we've been asking town council, and I am scheduled for the meeting tomorrow morning to ask that question again.
Excellent. And the only other information, because I haven't been up there, is the new trail being used properly? Do we have any sense?
Directed at Mike Spadia.
Yeah, and I'm getting sort of a middling, sort of.
Yeah. Yes and no. You know, it's you get the mix. So, but it looks like the newer trail's being mostly used. So that's good.
It would help to have it blaze. I don't know if that's been, but blazing would help.
I can go out there and do it if you want to. Do we even have a color out there already on that? I'll look, but I can do that. That's not a deal.
But I'm pretty sure the camera's still up. I thought about that today.
Oh, really?
Since I was on vacation, I should go look at go switch the card on the.
Yeah, make sure it's even there. Do it. Shotgun season's coming up soon, so I would assume a lot of people will be in there. So probably maybe so we don't get it taken away. Maybe we'll go snag it before that happens. I'll be starting on Monday. So if you need help with that, send me a pin. I'll run in.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking my question.
Yeah, no problem.
Good. I have a few updates.
Please.
Okay. We need to get the porta potty for Tufts Farm. It's $125 a month, so we're just gonna order that. There's 2 statewide organizations that I was asked to be a part of. So one is the Climate and Forestry Initiative Steering Committee. We met last Friday and we'll give recommendations to the governor. And then we'll also be reconvening the Resilient Landscape Initiative Steering Committee, and that'll start up again in January. Actually, there's one more. I was asked to be on the board of directors of the Vernal Pool Association.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
That sounds awesome.
We have an enforcement update, 409, 413, 425 Turnpike Street. Their enforcement order requires a restoration plan by 11/23, so they've contacted me a few times. I do expect that plan on time. And now that we've gotten through a rather large agenda, we should talk about picking up our simplified regs again. And so I can put that on the 12/18 meeting. Wasn't sure how many things would be carried over tonight into December 4th. And so we can wait until December 18th. I do have to put a legal notice in the newspaper. That legal notice would have been due this morning, so. And I can send the draft, the simplified reg changes just to engineers and scientists who regularly work with us. And it'll be advertised in the Brockton Enterprise. And I will figure out how to get that on the website. And again, it's just the simplified version, no content changes, just making it easier for people to read and shorter. And our MVP 2.0 project, bids were due today. We received one bid, so I'll be reviewing that just to make sure it is responsive.
I think just one suggestion in showing the public our simplified changes. I don't know if this is possible, but like there were comments at town meeting about people asking for changes literally next to the original. And I think that had more to do with maps than Word documents. This Word document would be a terrible candidate for that. But my question is, can we post this with track changes on in some way, or turn the track changes comments into a PDF so people can literally see this is what's been struck through where, and then a clean copy?
I have them. I have both of them.
Okay.
I always keep both. We can certainly do that, but the track changes version is going to be so full of red and strike throughs that I think it's going to be confusing for people. But yeah, we can certainly put both of them on there.
I agree. I guess I'm just thinking how to best show people like the changes don't actually delete anything, despite deleting a whole lot.
I think the red line is not going to give them that assurance.
I think you're absolutely right. I think
That's a lot of red.
Yeah, I think there's just way too much red for them to believe that. So, so I think that listen, I'm about transparency, but you know, and certainly we're not trying to you know, not provide that to the public here. So, you know, just if that's your goal, it's not going to accomplish it. But in the interest of in the interest of transparency, you may just provide it anyway and just realize you're going to have to deal with it. So it's one or the other. So
I just am thinking of a way to, because you couldn't hold the two documents next to each other in a Word document and it'd be all that helpful, right? Just
yeah, the only way to do it, I think, is if you annotated the changes, the new version, and sort of explained where the changes came from in the original document. Now, to be honest, that's a couple days worth of work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of work.
Or that.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm just saying it's, that would be a big heavy lift. I'm just saying if that's what you needed to do, then that you would have to annotate the changes to sort of, you know, say this was formerly, you know, 23-20, you know, 25 or something, you know, so.
So let's post it and see what we get for feedback.
We can also direct people to the meetings where we discussed each and every change.
Yeah, certainly.
They can.
Yeah, that's essentially self-annotate.
There's one of the things to maybe suggest there's a way to create a YouTube link to a specific minute within a YouTube video. So you could actually put exactly where the discussion started as the link rather than here's the link to the YouTube.
I like that.
So when you go to share, like if you go to where it is in the YouTube and then you hit the share button, there's a little box underneath to say include time marker or something.
Okay.
And what it does is it takes the link and then puts a little time I think it puts in the number of seconds into the video it is, so that when somebody clicks on that link, they go to exactly where you were when you went to share that video. It just may be helpful rather than them having to sit through 2 hours of something else until we get to that.
I will give it a try, and if I can't figure it out, I will have to ask somebody.
You can ask me. I'm happy to provide you with links if we need to. So.
Okay, so, sorry, with track changes or no?
I say no.
I say no.
Okay. Just needed that final check. I had it, cross it up, wrote it back in, cross it up,
Yeah.
wrote it back.
It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think we'll just go with it.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's gonna be very confusing.
Just stick our bylaw.
Yeah.
All right,
We're trying.
that's it, unless anybody else has something.
Any pertinent item not anticipated by the chair?
No.
See you.
Happy holidays to everybody for sure.
You too.
Likewise.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Motion to close.
Second, roll call vote.
Benson, aye?
Carol, aye.
Grossman, aye.
All fills that.
Andy, aye.
Thank you, everybody.
See ya.
Aye.
A half an hour. I mean, an hour and a half,
Not bad for who's on that agenda.
hour and a half.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Later.